Oh, sorry. I had to say I got it. Okay. You can hear me okay?
Can hear you.
Okay. I am at my daughter's house and John is going to be doing the babysitting for the first hour. So if he needs me, he will let me know. But
Okay.
but I don't
Okay. So you're there, you and John are there with the baby without the parents.
for his first babysitting, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we were at an event with Graham Sefton on Sunday, and he tested positive for COVID yesterday. So we're
Indoors.
so we're masking around the baby.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and you've already had it, right?
Yeah.
So has John had it?
Mm-mm.
No,
No.
no. I managed, so I had it, but I had it really early on. And then I managed to avoid getting it. So 4 different times. Rachel had it twice and Chris had it twice. And I managed to avoid getting it with
Wow.
people in the house with me.
Wow.
And 4 different times. Um, so maybe you'll avoid it. So
Maybe I'll avoid it.
hope so.
I wasn't really close to him, but we
Okay.
were we were in
Right.
the same building.
Okay.
We're in the same
Okay.
house. So
Yes. Okay. All right.
but
Okay. Yeah.
all right. So
Hi, Lauren.
Hello, we're talking about COVID, I take it.
of course.
And a grandbaby. So how
Aw.
old is when he's not even a month old, is he?
No, no.
No.
He was
Okay.
3 weeks on Friday. Yep. So I was telling Marianne that we're doing our first babysitting tonight. And so my husband is pretty good at taking care of him, but we'll see if he comes in screaming.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
I think he'll be fine. Penny, I was just wondering if you were going to be able to make it.
I I made it because I stayed home from the Cape because I was sick.
Ah,
But I'm going to live.
yep. Okay.
Yes, we were staying in a tiny little cottage, and it didn't seem right to go there and spread my virus on all the other people.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I did other things.
Hmm.
So Marianne, while we're waiting, have you had a chance to look at the notes? There's questions on the paragraph about the affidavit.
I thought I replied to that.
I didn't
Um,
see it.
in my mind, I applied to it. Let's
Well,
see.
you were dreaming last night.
Let's see. So you sent me an email, right?
Right.
And it had a question.
Well,
Um,
Stephen Dalmas and I remembered it differently. And I just wanted to make sure the language reflected reality.
okay. So let me go back and read it again, and then because like in my mind I replied to it, but I don't know what I said. So
Or do I?
uh, um, so here's what I'll do. I'll just look at the minutes, and then
So I can read it to you if that helps.
well, let me find it.
Oh,
Daylighting. Uh,
further, it's on
okay,
it's on the fourth page.
okay, all right. Under the trustees affidavit. Okay, so it's not a trustees affidavit, it's a library building committee affidavit. Um, and okay, okay. And then it was 1933 that the bequest was made. Okay. Okay.
So it should be library building committee affidavit.
Yes,
Okay, and is the account under
it
75,000?
is.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And the process is CY space PRES?
Yes. Yep. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, it's 7:01 and we are all here, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order.
But other than that, Penny, it's all fine.
Okay.
It
thank
is,
you very much.
yes. Okay.
Okay. We don't have any public here. Unlike last night.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
That was
Okay,
a debacle.
that was a debacle, yes. And I kept trying to raise my hand to let them know that people were calling me and trying to get in touch with me. And finally I got in touch with Eric so that he can do it because they were
I-
ignoring me.
I was getting messages as well.
Mhm.
Mm.
Anyway, all right, so no public comment, so let's review the minutes from the previous meeting. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes from September 6th as written,
As corrected,
as
yes.
corrected?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as corrected.
Do I hear a second? Okay,
Dallas, second.
Thank you.
and the only correction I had was on page 3, that where it says Foster asked about the flood material, I believe it was floor material.
You are correct, and I fixed that. Thank you.
Great. Anything else?
I had one, Dominic, who was added in the corrected minutes. When his name is first listed, it's WIT, and all the other times it's WITT.
Yeah, in my brain, it's WITT, and I try to get it right, and I fixed it, but thank you. I need to be reminded on that. So it has been fixed in the current version, the most current version.
Okay.
Not in the corrected one I received today.
No, I fixed it after
Okay.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, though. It's sharp eyes help.
That just shows you that we're all reading them.
Yeah.
You're keeping us honest.
Well, I feel like it's good to have accurate minutes because you never know.
You
Okay.
never know.
Is that him?
Okay, so the minutes are corrected. Let's see, let's do a roll call vote. Antonellis,
Aye.
Delmas,
Dallas, aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hool,
Fool, aye.
Jakes,
I,
Moss,
Aye.
Quackenbush. No, Quackenbush is muted. Quackenbush is raising his thumb, aye. Paleo, aye. Okay. We don't have any other outstanding minutes that I know of.
oh, I think we're all caught up.
Great. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you for taking these minutes.
Well,
Well,
I take perverse pleasure in it.
well, installation proposals.
So is it okay if we move the agenda just a little bit? Can we move up the OTO, up the update for the geotechnical testing? Because it's very simple and quick, and just get it out of the way because the well is not going to be simple.
Okay,
Is that okay?
that's
Um,
fine.
Okay, so we had a proposal from OTO to do geotechnical testing and infiltration testing. And
Mhm.
that proposal was not based on prevailing wage. So I sent them that the prevailing, Neil got us a prevailing wage chart, and I sent them the prevailing wage chart. And it adds an additional $1,000 to the drillers. So they hire a drilling subcontractor, And so it doesn't change their proposal, but it changes that by $1,000. And I forwarded all of you an email from them. So, so we need to approve
Yes, ma'am.
another $1,000 for their contract.
Do I hear a motion to approve an additional $1,000 for the contract for the geotechnical and infiltration testing?
I'll make that
Move.
motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Brad seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Antonellis,
Aye.
Delmas,
You're muted, Stephen.
Delmas,
Dalmas, aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Poole,
Pool eye.
Jakes,
I,
Moss,
Aye.
Quackenbush. Quackenbush, another thumb raised. Paleo, aye. We are unanimous on that.
Oh, we do have a guest now.
We do have a guest now. Frank, we did not have anyone at the beginning of the meeting, so we went on to our review of minutes. But if you have a public comment you would like to make, I would be happy to entertain that since we didn't have anyone in the beginning.
I'm all set. I'm just listening to the meeting. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming. All right, so let's talk about the well installation proposals.
Okay, so so when I started gathering information to talk to well drillers, I was getting information from Dominic, and I had a bunch of questions, and I decided to call Matt Cassane at Fuss and O'Neill because I've been working with Matt Cassane for a long time, and he's very easy for me to talk to, and he's very good at explaining things to me in layman's terms. And Fuss and O'Neill wasn't the well engineer contractor. They didn't have a contract with Odinzello. So I just assumed that it was one of their other subcontractors. But I talked to Matt, and then I asked Dominic some questions, and Dominic did get some information from Bala, who's the plumbing engineer. And I continued to pursue talking to well contractors. I've gotten one well contractor who has written to me, and he's going to decline to send a proposal because he's too busy right now. And then I've talked on the phone to two others, and then a third, I've talked on the phone. He sent a proposal, and he came out today for a site visit, and he had a whole page of questions for the well engineer. So I said, okay, well, you send me the questions. This is Ezra from Cushing and Sons, who so Cushing and Sons drilled the well behind the fire station and drilled the water table monitoring wells the town owns. And so then I sent those questions to Dominic, and Dominic replied that they don't have a contract for well engineering, and he asked Neil to follow up on that. So then Neil called me, and Neil had conversations with Dominic, and so we don't have, that's not covered as of yet. And so Neil, do you want to share more information?
Sure. So it appears as though when Odinzello was slicing this project up, that they failed to include the design requirements of the well among the various subconsultants that are supporting them on the project. I can't speak to the fact of how it was missed. Only that, according to Dominic, that scope of work for the design is not owned by any of their consultants. And, you know, I respectfully said, well, I'm not sure I understand why that becomes the town's issue to resolve. And I said, you know, your proposal to the town neither explicitly includes or explicitly excludes the well design. I said there are numerous references in your proposal to a complete and comprehensive design to meet the requirements of public bidding, and provision of a well was acknowledged in your cover letter as being a requirement of the project. So I'm not quite sure how that all translates, that it's the town's problem to solve. So I asked Dominic if he felt differently, which I believe he does, that he should seek the appropriate proposal from a consultant and make his case to the building committee. And if they felt as though he was responsible, then it would be denied. And if they felt like he should be paid, then he'll be paid. And that's how I left it with Dominic late today.
Do we have any idea what we're talking about for cost?
No.
Not
Dominic did not offer a figure. And I did say to him, it's difficult for me to respond to this, Dominic, out of the context of what we're talking about. I said, frankly, we could have spent more money than it's worth talking about it this afternoon. So he's going to look into it and let me know.
Okay. Brad?
So I think there are two issues on the table. One is what Marianne was working on, finding a well driller, and that is stalled out because we don't have the designer. And the other is the whole internal issue before we can get the designer of whose responsibility that is at this point in time with the project. Is that about right?
I think that's it.
Does it make sense to wait until we hear back from Dominic from Odensello to respond further? I mean, it's a little hard for me to imagine knowing what to say or do until we hear from them.
I think we do need to wait because, according to Marianne, we have a well driller who had some questions, and we can't answer those questions without a well designer, and we don't have a well designer. And we do not know who's going to pay for it, how much it's going to cost, and who that person would be. So I think you are right, Brad, that we really can't go any farther.
When I had well drilling done for our house, we just got a new well year and a half, 2 years ago. I think all that was all part of the well driller's job. We didn't have a separate designer, but then again, we're a private home with
We're
a
not a
small-
municipal building.
Right. Yeah,
It's a
we're,
municipal water supply.
yeah, I'm learning a lot. And so we're putting in a commercial well. And it's a public water supply. And so the specifications are different, and the well drillers, all of them that I've talked to are aware of it, and they all know exactly what to do. But an engineer is going to have to specify this project. And so I think we have a couple of different choices. We could, so Dominic, not Dominic, Neil, sorry, can I just go to Fuss and O'Neill myself and get them to quote being the well engineer working for us? I don't see how we get out of this. So I don't see how we get out of this without paying for it. So can I,
It
like, is it
sounds
gonna
to
be?
me, it sounds
Yeah.
to me like Neil does think that we shouldn't be paying for it, or even at worst, we pay for part of it and they pay for part of it. Is that what I'm hearing from you, Neil?
I am of the opinion that their proposal, I will openly admit that their proposal is gray and does not specifically include or exclude the well. The language in their cover letter does contain some limiting language that says they're responsible for location of a well, but they can't deliver to us the building, a public building suitable for public occupancy, without providing a well. So I don't understand how it could not have been included in their scope of services. That's
What are
that's
you
kind of that's kind of where I am.
What are you advising us?
I think we should wait and see what the cost is. And I think we should have a discussion with either Matt or Dominic once the cost is known.
So we have our public forum next Tuesday that they will be at. Should we have a very quick meeting ahead of time before the public forum so that we can discuss this, so we can move forward? Instead of waiting another 2 weeks?
I think we should request that. I certainly. And so I'm hoping that they've asked Fuss and O'Neill to give them a proposal on being the engineers for the well. Did you think they were going to move in that direction, Neil?
Yes.
Okay.
Brad, you have your
Um,
hand up again?
My question is, what impact would there be on waiting? It seems to me like waiting until next Tuesday makes a lot of sense, but are we stalling? Are we in danger of delaying the project by doing that?
Well, we can't vote on anything until we know what we're voting on,
Okay,
right? And so, so the well, like the well installer, so Cushing, who did provide a quote, it's not a complete quote because he doesn't have all the details he
Right.
needs. And he doesn't want to install the well without an engineer saying exactly what specifications he wants.
Dale?
Mary Ann, are we gonna need 3 bids on this?
So we need, I think it's gonna fall into the price range where I have to solicit 3 bids. But I don't think I'd want 3 proposals or 3 quotes. I don't think it's gonna fall into the price range where we have to go out to bid.
Lauren, do you have any words of wisdom for us on this?
Not, I apologize. I see this as Neil's area of expertise.
Okay.
Geez, thanks, Lauren.
Jeff, do you have anything that you'd like to add? No? Stephen?
Well, I was wondering if Mary Ann can just touch base with Fuss and O'Neill and see if they would offer her kind of a ballpark of what the expense might be. But, you know, unless she could do that this evening, I don't know that that's going to get us any further along. So
Right.
hopefully, you know, O&E will have something that we can talk about next week.
Okay, Marianne, we'll have to give them a heads up that we are going to have this meeting before the public forum, and it is going to be only based on this topic. So they can they'll have a heads up for it, okay?
Okay. Yeah,
And do you need to post that separately from the
Yes, yes.
forum?
Yep. I'll do that.
And so my question is time. Do we have a suggested time for meeting?
The public forum is at 7, so let's say 6:30.
Marianne,
5:55.
5:55 is the
yeah.
select board?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so we had a trustee position open up and the trustees voted to recommend someone to the select board and others. They have to have a joint meeting next Tuesday at 5:55 to appoint that person. So that's what Brad was asking about.
Okay, so 6:30 would be all right. Okay, Dale?
I would just like to say that I agree that I wouldn't volunteer to pay for anything. And my position would be you have to hit me over the head with why we have to pay for any of this. So, I mean, that's basically going to be my position going forward. So that's all.
Okay, Molly, do you have something? Penny?
Nothing.
Okay. Stephen?
I assume that the meeting at 6:30, we will be at the elementary school for that.
Yes, it will be an in-person meeting.
Marianne, I might offer that it be provided to the committee a copy of their fee proposal letter and the terms of their contract for anybody that chooses to take the time to read the letter and review the contract. I'm not suggesting that anybody provide a legal opinion, but I think to put the decision in context, I think would be helpful for the committee to have that information fresh in their mind.
Okay. Brad?
So the open forum, the community forum, is intended to be hybrid.
Yes.
And I'm involved in making that part work. I would expect that we would have that ahead of this meeting.
Yes.
Do we want this to be hybrid or just in person? In person is a lot easier, but it's possible. The real issue about hybrid is in the school, it really has to be a one-way street. People
Right.
can't talk back to us because we're not set up for it. So
Right.
It's just if we wanted to, essentially stream the meeting for people who want to watch.
We could do that.
Okay.
And then I'm just sort of thinking that is 6:30 enough time? People will be, since the meeting starts at 7, the public will be starting to arrive
That's
maybe at 6:45. Do we want to make it 6:15?
We could.
Marianne,
Okay.
can you and Brad do that? Or will you be participating remotely at the joint?
But we're going to do that from the school.
Okay.
And we're only expecting that to be 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're just going to hope that they have a proposal. So Matt Cassane is out on parental leave. Leo was born on Friday, so.
Oh. Great.
And so if Leo, if we were still waiting for Leo, or if Leo was 2 months old, I'd have Matt on the phone now. But you know, Leo was just born Friday. So,
No.
yeah, so
No. Okay, so we'll post that meeting to discuss. It's going to be to discuss a
well engineering.
well
and,
engineering. Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
And did we agree to 6:15? And do we need to
Yes.
vote on that?
No,
Okay.
I can decree it. Okay. Moving on, design development updates.
So let's see, what did we talk about at the last meeting? And Jeff and Stephen can chime in.
Pink noise.
No, at the last design development meeting, we talked about the lighting system. So, oh, and you saw all of that. So if we had a design development meeting since
Mm-hmm.
our
You had
meeting.
one at
Yeah,
4:00.
okay. The day after the meeting or
Mhm.
after,
No.
okay.
Yeah.
No. All right, so we talked about all right, well then.
Was
Jeff
that
and-
lighting?
We talked about lighting. Oh, you were there. We talked about lighting, but then we talked about that with the whole committee, right? And we talked about HVAC with the whole committee or not? No? Okay. All right.
Hold on, Mary Ann. I'm trying to find out from my notes.
That would be
Okay.
great because they all blurred
So
together.
we-
in my
They
head.
do.
We
Oh,
talked
my.
about the HVAC and electrical and associated controls.
Okay.
We talked about the fact that the HVAC controls would likely be packaged with the units. Lighting controls for electrical would be based on vacancy sensors, as well as daylight harvesting and other more technical aspects. And then we got a presentation from Lamb, who was the lighting consultant, on the type of light fixtures that would be provided, combination of linear, cove lighting, focus task lighting, track lighting, and indirect lighting. All fixtures would be LED. And then we talked about updates and the evolution of the design relative to the access to the electrical room, whether that could be from the exterior serviced by the walkway, or whether it was preferred to be accessible from the interior. There was also some discussion of revisiting the requirement to provide a generator, potentially as an add alternate. We talked about the placement of the control panels and where the control panels would be placed for the HVAC controls and the lighting controls. There was some consensus that they may be located within the staff room, and we noted that that room would be off limits after hours to other outside personnel. We talked a little bit about layout of the circulation desk area and visual communication between the adults and circulation because of obstructions with computers. We talked about potentially changing the size of the water service closet to provide a little bit more storage space. We're going to continue to look at that, as well as continue to study the library of things and related storage. And then they gave us a concept of the meeting room with the south-facing windows eliminated. Those are the windows above the door and in the corner of the south elevation of the meeting room. And the meeting was adjourned shortly after 6 o'clock. I wish I had the fancy visuals that Odinzello has, but I don't have them.
Thank you.
May I ask a question of Neil?
Sure.
I was surprised at the last couple meetings at how much technical stuff is part of the library, like all the sensors, all the lighting controls, all the HVAC controls. Is that standard and required in buildings like this?
I will say, generally speaking, there was nothing presented at that meeting that surprised me. I have had conversations with Dominic outside of meetings and encouraged him and his team of consultants to keep things as simple as possible while still maintaining the desired results.
Okay, well, I appreciate you encouraging that.
Dale, you have a question?
Yes, Neil, so what
Yep.
did you think of the elimination of those south-facing windows? Did you think it detracted a lot? Was it all right?
I mean, it aesthetically, no, I thought it was fine. I didn't think there was anything objectionable to it. I think the bigger problem would be how you would provide shading for those windows, given the fact that you have a sloped ceiling in that space. You'd have to do something bottom up, and I think it would be very difficult to get closure on those windows shading wise if they were to remain as they were originally drawn.
Thank you.
Molly?
Just to Penny's comment, at the meeting, I was really surprised by all the things that are municipal building code that I didn't realize. So we brought up, like, do we need all these lighting controls? Can't we just have lighting switches? And apparently that they said that was part of municipal building code or building code for municipal buildings. So, because I thought, like, it's not that big. Can't we have it be more simple? And I guess the answer is, at least to them, was no.
And Lauren, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's part of the new stretch code. It's an energy code thing, and that's why all of those systems have to be included.
Thank you.
I can share, Stephen, I can share the slides from the last meeting so people can see, and I can email them out to everybody after this meeting.
Okay, let's let Stephen ask his
Okay.
question first.
I was just going to sort of reinforce what Neil said in response to Dale's question about the elimination of some of the windows in the meeting room. I didn't see it as, aesthetically or I think functionally a problem, and I think it will make it a lot easier to control, light in that room. Plus, it adds a little bit more wall space, for having any kind of exhibition.
Okay, Mary, do you want to share your slides?
Yeah. So this is the slide of the meeting room. And so the door on the left side of the building had a window that went all the way up to ceiling.
Mhm.
And then on the right side of the, what will be the screen or the wall mounted monitor, there was a window there was, a floor length window that went up to ceiling. And, and those windows, were going to be hard to put shades on them. So at one of our subcommittee meetings, we said that we didn't want any mechanical shades because they're expensive and they're not the sturdiest of things. So if we weren't going to have mechanical shades, it was going to be difficult to put shades on those windows. So that's it. The other thing that came up is there's been this, and I want to see if there's a slide that shows the exterior door. And I don't see it. So maybe this one. Okay, so this slide is the floor plan, and you can see that they've moved in an effort to make more wall space in the meeting room and to avoid having a door that interrupts that aisle on the where that pink dotted line is going through.
Mhm.
They cited the door to the electric room on the exterior. And Lauren and Andrea are really concerned about that electrical room access being from the exterior of the building. And frankly, I am too. If there is a snowstorm, and snowstorm after snowstorm, and the snow isn't cleared from that spot, accessing that room will be difficult. So I suggested that, so we were trying to achieve wall space so that we could have, art gallery space. And then Matt mentioned the issue of having the door interrupt that aisle. And if they just put the door at the end of the room, and have it swing to the left, then it won't, and there are two other egresses from the room. That seems like enough egresses. Then that door can be there. We do lose the wall space, but the electrical room is accessible from the inside. And we're going to have things like that aren't, that aren't perfect. But it's functional, and we'll it'll be fine in the long run. So that was that. And then, and I don't have the presentations about the lighting and the HVAC system. Those consultants, shared those things. So those are all of the pictures that I have that are, interesting, I think. So unless somebody wants to see something else, but I don't, we were talking about so this is the screen with just kind of looking at the layout of the staff room, and the circulation desk, and then the self-checkout. I've had a meeting with Dominic since this meeting. And so if you see this place that's called Library of Things, it's a 24-inch deep pocket. And then there's just to the right of that, there's a rectangular area. And there's a dotted line. So that dotted line is where the door is going to go, or a gate or something that closes off the library. But that space is empty space. So when I had a meeting with Dominic last Friday, we discovered that there could be 18 inches of shelving there. So that's going to be 6 shelves 18 inches wide that the holds could go on. So that was wasted space that isn't reflected in this building. But this meeting was mostly, this slide was mostly about how that area was comprised. And then you can see the water service room. So what they've done is they've combined the water service room and the janitor's closet. And they're still figuring out exactly how big that has to be. And it, it might have to push into that storage room next to it. But they were, trying to be more efficient in that way. But I don't have those slides from the lighting consultant and the energy consultant that showed all of the different units. So this is, and then, it was just a schedule, which you've all seen.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments on this? All right, thank you. Let's go on to the public forum planning. Brad, I'm assuming when you said that you are in contact with Debbie Lee and that so Marianne, the last time I remember that we did our public forum, it was during MCAS testing and Debbie was not available to help us at all. Do we need anything from the school besides access?
So Brad has been talking to Eric Stalker, right, Brad? And he's going to email Matt and Dominic, and we set it all up the last time, and
Right.
we're going to set it all up again this time. And Brad and Eric you have a plan to meet and set things up, and I'll help, I'll be there to help with that. But it was all us the last time, and it was all our equipment except for the school sound system. And you'll talk to Matt Foster, the janitor, right, Brad?
I didn't do that last time. I'm happy to.
Okay. So we'll, so we didn't really use the school's equipment last time, other than the sound system. So
Is there anything that would be helpful to use?
Really, Eric will bring the town hall sound system. I remember we needed power strips the last time. So everybody bring a power strip and an extension cord.
With your name on it.
With your name on it.
Or they all go home with me. I have a pile.
Okay.
I have a growing pile.
Yes. And then the rest we'll use the town. So between the school sound system and the town hall sound system, we'll make that work. And with Eric helping.
Okay. And you'll have access to the to their internet password.
Yeah, we'll get that ahead of time.
Okay, so, and I'll bring my laptop so that I can be monitoring the building committee email address.
Okay, yes. And we'll do the same thing where we do a Zoom webinar.
Yep.
And people email in the questions. Okay.
Yep. Stephen?
Are you serious about wanting extension cords?
Yes.
Okay.
And power strips.
Okay.
Does the school know we're coming?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we have permission.
And what was my other question? I think you answered it, but just to reiterate, what I expect is that we'll have a table for a projector in the middle facing the screen, and that Matt will be providing the computer and the projector to run that. That's what I'm talking with Matt and Dominic about. We had some issues with that beforehand that were all resolved, but I just want it to be smooth. And there'll be 2 tables with at least 1 microphone, hopefully 2 on each table. For the last time we had Neil and architects on one table, and we had committee on another table. And Elaine, as you said, all comments will come via the email because it's a one-way street. It worked pretty well last time. The trouble I had initially was trying to get the Zoom volume right. It was hard to judge that when I'm in the middle of the room, but I figured it out, and so I think we're fine.
Great. And Marianne, can you get that put into the Road Town News? Oh no,
Yes.
it's this week. You'd have to have it go out in
Yeah.
the Road Town News.
Mhm.
I'll send out a town announce on what day would you want me to do it? Friday?
Well, so you already sent one, right?
Right,
I would
right.
say send one on Monday, a
Monday?
reminder on Monday.
Okay, and I'll put
yeah.
it in next door also.
Okay. And I'm just gonna go and find your announcement and send it to the Road Town News.
Okay.
Before I turn off my
Sure.
computer.
Sure.
Okay.
Anything else others would like to be a part of? Are we gonna provide? I'll provide refreshments for those folks coming from Boston.
Can someone remind Odinsello to make sure the text on their slides is bigger and more readable than it was last time?
We did
I'll do.
that, but we can do it again.
I know I mentioned it before.
Yep. And they said yes.
Yep, they did.
Okay. Anything else about this? You all feel good about it? Hopefully. I think it went well the last time. I think it was important to have. I think it's important to have again. Please make sure that people come. Okay, moving on to committee liaison reports. Do we have any committee liaison reports?
Nothing for me to report at this time.
Okay. Marianne, do you have anything?
Let's see, the perk test is scheduled for Wednesday, the 27th at 9 a.m. And the geotechnical testing and infiltration testing will take place during the first week of October. That can't happen when it's raining. So we'll sort of they're going to tentatively schedule it and then have a rain date. I think we've met since the Conservation Commission permitted that work from the RDA that Penny prepared. So that's good.
No, we haven't met since then. That
we
was
haven't met since the
no,
Conservation
that was last
Commission?
Thursday. That
Yeah.
was last
Oh,
Thursday.
okay. All right. So yeah, so the Conservation Commission permitted the geotech and infiltration testing without any
Surprise.
surprise or unnecessary discussion or inappropriate conditions. So unmanageable conditions. So it was very easy. So that was good.
Dale, you have your hand up? What, Kit, you're muted.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Is there any other subcommittee that's a liaison committee report?
Actually,
Any-
I do have a question for Mary Ann. Mary Ann, is Fuss and O'Neill going to oversee the perk test?
Yes.
Okay.
So an engineer from Fuss and O'Neill and then their subcontractor, Heritage, will be there, and then the health agent will be there, and then the highway department will be digging the pits. And I'll be there. So
Thank you.
Is there any other unanticipated business?
For you.
Excuse me? Okay. Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
A question. Do we
Yes.
have another meeting after that? I don't think we want to talk about meeting dates during the,
No, we have a meeting on the 26th. Marianne, when do you think I don't want to meet just to meet. So when do
Right.
you think?
So I do think, so there's a meeting on the 26th. I think that this board should have a meeting 2 weeks after that because the NOI is coming. And there may need to be decisions made about the NOI. So
It would be on the 9th.
is that 2 weeks from the 26th?
That's
The
Monday,
tenth.
Columbus Day.
Let's see. Maybe
don't you
I'm
mean
off the
Tuesday the
26th. It would be
10th?
the 10th. I'm sorry, it would be the 10th. Someone else will have to run the meeting. I will be unavailable on the 10th. How about everybody else?
It's okay with me.
I'm gonna be away on the 10th.
That's 2 of us. But do the rest of
Have a
you,
quorum.
you'll have a quorum. Okay, so let's keep the meeting on the 10th. And knowing that Stephen and I will not be there, but I'll be out of the country and I'll listen to it when I come back. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
A second, Dallas.
And Brad was the originator. Roll call vote.
Was I?
Dallas, aye.
Foster, I.
Pool, aye.
Jakes, I.
Moss, I.
Quackenbush, aye, and Paleo, aye. Thank you all for learning your alphabet,
Really good
knowing
job.
where you are.
So 6:15 next Tuesday at the elementary school, correct?
Correct. This
Thank
meeting
you.
is adjourned at 7:53 PM. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thanks,
Night,
everybody.
everybody.
Okay.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Neil. Thanks, Lauren.